Okay, here we are, hour number 2 on this Tuesday night. Welcome back. We're going to talk this hour about some things that we have discussed, perhaps not often enough, because I don't think, honestly, we could ever talk about this issue of mass mind control. This is hard science enough. I ran across an article today. Can they use 5G technology for mind control? And I'll read some excerpts from this excellent article a little bit later. Back with us tonight to talk about this issue of mind control and other related matters, and there are several, is David Brinsko. He was with us before and has a lot to say. He is a friend of Ken Rhodes, who has done an awful lot to help people who are TIs, targeted individuals, of which there are an awful lot of them in this country and around the world. It's not just our domain here. So, David, welcome back. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure, and I just want to thank you for real, because you're opening up a door that so many individuals out there, I mean, citizens of the United States of America, they just can't get their minds wrapped around something like this. And I'm so thankful that there are individuals like you, and for as long as possible, I'm hoping that this airwave stays open. Okay, just to keep the door open.
Well, we try, and a lot of people, I think, if they had an opportunity, would probably look into this, but they don't. They're kept, as you well know, taken and controlled to such an extent by the mainstream media and by EMF. The whole world of EMFs is unbelievable. And now we're heading into the era of 5G. What'll happen next? 6G, 7, it just gets worse and worse. This whole technology must be understood from the perspective that we are electrical beings first, chemicals second. There is an electronic, let's call it a formula, let's call it a code, an electronic formula or code for virtually every emotion that we have, thought processes. Voice to skull, V2K technology was patented in the early 80s. So what we have now is, with ease, we can be made to remember things that never happened, to remember images that we've never seen. They used to call it false memory syndrome. But it's really that and then some. And we'll talk more about the technology of it. It's probably 20 or 30 years down the road from where we're told, if we're told anything at all. But back to my original premise, I think a lot of people would probably welcome this, but they have been denied. They've been mentally spayed and neutered by a media that is so crass, so empty, and so ridiculous, virtually all of it, that it defies description. Tell us more.
Okay. I guess first off, I just want to let individuals know right up front that if I was to classify myself, okay, I would classify myself as an activist. Like Ken Rhodes, we've hung together for a minute now, and a researcher, a minister of the gospel, an ordained elder in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Mm-hmm. Today, I talked to a former pastor of mine. We had an in-depth conversation about what we're talking about tonight. Okay, now his area of attack was chemtrails and nanotechnology and all these things, and it's amazing that. Our church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, we view ourselves as individuals who do a lot of studying, a lot of researching, okay? But it's coming to the point where even the individuals that I thought, would be upfront about issues like this, they're not upfront about it at all. In fact, they want you, they try to isolate you into not talking about this because of the individuals that come into the church. We have a lot of law enforcement individuals that are, that are within the body of the church. We have some 177,000 churches and missions across the world. And I mean, it's getting to the point.
I had no idea. That's interesting.
Yes, it's getting to the point where, the church wants you to be quiet about these things. See, we're operated by a corporation, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Church is a corporation. And, if there individuals are listening to what I'm saying right now, there would be probably a serious chance that they'd want to quench my voice, okay, right now, because of the fact that I'm mentioning things like this. But I talked to a former pastor today, and we have been through it. He's been through it. When he talked about it, there were people in the church that would come up to him after he would just interject certain points like chemtrails and this, and they said, "We don't want to hear about that. We want this message." But see, also the Seventh-day Adventist Church is about an end time message, and to me, if there was ever an end time message, it's about technology, okay? Because technology is neutral, okay, and it can be used for good or it can be used for evil. And all I've seen for the last 35 years and 7 months is nothing but evil. I talked to you earlier, and I was discussing your accident, okay? Accidents are one of the number one problems with this technology. I mean, if they don't want you around, they're going to try to make your death or your accident look like an accident, okay? And but the technology is so these crimes are so egregious, okay, that I don't know exactly what happened to you. I may be talking a little bit. I may be. Talking a little too fast here or whatever, but I want to make this very clear, okay? I've had a lot of friends, a lot of students in school. There was an incident where 3 of our young people was coming back for Christmas break. And as they were coming back from Rochester Institute of Technology, they had this car accident, okay? And the type of accidents that I'm talking about are what they call the CIA calls them the curve in the road. In other words, you're traveling, and you think that you're on a straight and course road. Okay, it's a straight course, and all of a sudden they project an image or a visual image in your mind, and you veer off the road across the median. And in this particular case, they went right into a semi. Okay, the car was leveled. All 3 of them were killed instantly. Now, I'm told not to speculate, scripturally. As an ordained elder, I don't speculate. Scripture tells us not to speculate.
Right.
But I have run into so many cases like this all across the country, okay? And the thing is once people understand the particular weapon system that I'm going to be talking about tonight is a directed energy resonance weapons, and how they play the mind, and how they can manipulate you into doing something. I mean, like, for instance, I was at a stoplight, okay, and instead of keeping my foot on the brake, I hit gas, and I ran right into the back of this truck, okay, and it's just games they play just to see if they can do this, and they watch it happen. I want individuals to understand that when they lock into you, they're transmitting at like you were talking about earlier, just a few minutes ago. You were talking about those electrical responses, okay? Yeah. What they do is they're transmitting, and once they transmit, okay, at this extremely low frequency, okay, it's compatible to your brain wave. And with this advanced digital equipment, they lock into your cortex, not just visual cortex, but your auditory cortex, but your visual cortex. And these experiments were proven much earlier, okay, in the early 60s, okay. With orangutans, because orangutans are the highest in intelligence to human beings, and the Air Force worked with orangutans, and just like they're working with human beings right now. And they could see what the orangutans were doing from miles and remote locations away from where the orangutans were. And so people just they can't get their mind wrapped around that these are remote locations. I mean, it doesn't have to be, okay? It could be, very close to you. But in most cases, this technology is used from a remote location. People fail to realize that the same way they can operate a drone in Afghanistan from California is the same way they can manipulate a human being from miles and miles away. And it's just nothing but heinous, egregious crimes against humanity. And
they can do, David. You're right. They can do virtually it all now to the human mind. I think they've got it reduced now to a very manageable issue from a remote location, as you say. They can make people hear things, see things, think things, remember things that just aren't there. And they must be, the sadists among them, and that's probably most, must be laughing their fannies off at some of the crap they pull on people.
And the thing of it is that I've talked, one of my areas of expertise is the fact that I zero in on sheriff departments across the country. We have some 3,077 counties, okay, across the nation.
Right.
Okay, and every county is represented by a sheriff, okay?
Right.
And we're not, this is a national thing all across the United States, but it's also global, of course. But the individuals, the National Sheriff's Association, we have a lot of good sheriffs. I've checked them out, okay? Kenny has had me call various people across the nation at various times, and there's a lot of individuals that are good. But the thing is they're not good enough, okay? They know what's going on. I've talked to a lot of retired sheriff deputies, okay? And they'll tell me straight up, sometimes eyeball to eyeball, and they're talking to me and saying, yeah, I know about it, it's been going on, but there's this code of whatever, the brotherhood, whatever you want, whatever label you want to put on it.
Understood, yeah.
These are egregious crimes here we're talking about because, see, just think about it. We have to give our permission, okay? Let's say law enforcement says, well, are you willing to take a polygraph? Okay, and if you're not willing to take a polygraph, you don't have to take a polygraph. I've heard otherwise lately that the courts will force an individual to take a polygraph, and I can't fathom that either.
No, that's crazy.
I don't think you can. Okay, I may be wrong, but I don't think they can force you to take a polygraph. And now polygraph and visual and voice prints and facial recognition, these are tools. These are tools, not weapons, okay? What we're talking about here, we're talking about resonance weapons that can lock into a human being's resonance. And once they lock in, okay, if they're privy to other technologies like laser or microwave or acoustics or kinetics, they can literally make your life an absolute hell. Okay, and they can do it right to the day you die. Okay?
David, let me ask you a question real quick. As far as locking in on someone, I was told some time ago, in fact, I saw it in a lecture as well, that they are now able to remotely clock your DNA and put it in a computer, and there you are there. And they can dial, let's just say, for the sake of example, they can dial up your DNA, transmit something through the 4G network now, soon to be 5G, and wherever you are, you'll be the only person affected by that. In other words, they have total access to everybody in the 48 contiguous states, probably the 50 states, and they're doing it with a DNA fingerprint, a DNA ID. I don't know if you've heard that, but if they're locking onto the cerebral cortex of the mind, I don't see why they can't lock onto the vibratory or other signature that our individual DNA provides them.
Well, let's put it this way. I may not know about that specifically, okay, but I can nothing that's going on right now surprises me in the least.
Well said.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think individuals realize how advanced we are in the United States of America.
They have no clue. It's decades.
Exactly, decades of nonstop research, and the individuals that I've talked to, as far as former sheriff deputies, one individual was 32 years in the sheriff department, and he said it's all about research. Okay, the same way they researched in my grandmother's generation and my mom's generation, okay, with, say, the Department of Energy experiments, okay,
right.
After World War II. This was a research project that lasted for 30 years, and our congressmen and all these individuals, they knew about these things, but they just stood back and did nothing. For 30 years, 500,000, according to the Government Accounting Office, 500,000 plus individuals, citizens of the United States of America, were targeted in nursing homes and hospitals, and all they wanted to do was live out their retirement, okay, but yet they were injected. Their bodies were used as calibration devices. Okay, they were injected with radium and uranium and plutonium, 98 times the normal dosage. Okay, to see how their bodies would react to radiation.
Yeah, guinea pigs, of course.
These are heinous crimes. And then when they came forward, they never apologized for one thing that they did. They said, the spokesman said, that they thought that they were doing the right thing. Okay, and there's nobody's ever been held accountable. Nobody's ever, they've never ever, been put in jail for these crimes.
No, there's no accountability. Of course not. They run the show. Who's going to hold them accountable?
No oversight whatsoever.
No.
And my thing is if they ever do, I'm sure that they're going to keep on using these technologies, okay? But my question would be, these individuals have to be watched. They have to be watched. I mean, you can't, they're watching you, and nobody is watching them, okay?
No.
They're making lucrative amounts of money on research and gaining at somebody else's loss, for years and decades. And I was reading today after I was talking to one of my former pastors. I was reading the sworn testimony of Ted Gunderson, okay?
Yeah.
And it was just an amazing, I met this individual. I met him in 2006, but I talked to him from 1991, pretty much right up until the point of his death. Ken Rhodes knows him very well. Ken Rhodes, he knows Ted Gunderson very well, and but this sworn testimony is amazing because he was so sick. He was so sick with cancer and everything, but yet it was like just like a will, a final will, and testament as to what he's been saying all these years.
Where is that to be found now, David?
Well, I can do a copy. Okay.
Send me a copy and I'll post it. Ted, I did speak to Ted a number of times. I didn't know him like you did or Kenny, but what a fine man. I'd be happy to post that. That deserves to go up.
And plus, I can actually, Ken is listening this evening, and Ken can send you a copy. But if he doesn't, I will.
Well,
okay?
Very good. And I need, Kenny, I need to get you on the program. I've called several times. We just haven't connected. So Ken will be on very soon. Go ahead.
And this sworn testimony by Ted Gunderson, it's just amazing how he breaks things down, and he went through hell too. I had lunch with him, and I sat down with him at dinner in Union Station in Washington D.C. in June of 2006. We went there to develop some kind of strategy of what our next, what our plans are, what are we going to do? Because we're talking oppression, we're talking harassment, we're talking torture, day in, day out, 24 hours a day. Okay, 7 days a week, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, and...
It's a logical, technological advancement of the old Soviet Union horrors. It's what it is.
There you go. I'm laughing. If I wasn't laughing,
no.
I would I'd be crying, okay, because what you just said is amazing. That's something. I mean, what you think about America, God and country. These individuals that they took these jobs, okay, in the FBI, when the FBI was something, okay. I mean, there was a time when the FBI was something. There's a lady, a judge that I'm trying to find out what her name is. Her name is Judge Anna Von Reitz. She was a former federal judge, and she knew Ted Gunderson very, very well. And she talks about the old FBI, and she talks about the color of law. And I will send this to you. I'll send you a copy, and I know Kenny will send you a copy too. But I want you to zero in on her too, because she talks about how these individuals, they look at themselves as the law, okay? Not the fact that they think they're above the law, actually, okay? And they're into just stealing and taking not only lives but taking property, okay? And it's one. I mean, who are the criminals here, okay? Like the BLM with Lavoy Finicum. They shot this man point blank. Yeah. They killed him. Yeah. Okay, blank. And somehow, some way, nobody's even talking about this. Nobody is going to jail for these crimes. Okay, how do you just? Like if you murdered somebody or I murdered somebody, we're going to go to jail.
Yep, that's right.
But yet, this man, he was right there, and they shot him. They shot him point blank, and this was the incident with the Bundy Ranch out there in Nevada. Okay, and she was talking about that. And
well, this happened. He was shot in of course, Oregon, in the takeover up there of the BLM facility.
Okay, my bad. Yes, it was.
No, that's fine. But yes, a horrible murder, just a simple horrible murder. Another. And my God, they're endless with these people. They are above all laws, answerable to no one. Just ask them; they'll tell you. They laugh at laws. Laws mean nothing to them. Nothing.
And I just don't, like I said, I personally can't get my mind wrapped around things like this. Whether it's Oregon, whether it's Nevada, whatever it is, how somebody can.
Evil is evil, of course. It goes. It runs everywhere. Let me do this. I'm gonna go through the break here. I want to read something to everyone. Okay. This will set the stage for your DEW talk. This is called a review of the TETRA, TETRA system. Now, I want you to understand that this was reported this is in Britain. This was reported on a British television channel, Channel 4, February the 5th, the year 2001. This is 17 years ago. This was deployed, right? 17 years ago. Where are they now? That's the question. Mass UK mind control technology and zombification of Britain's police has become reality. From Channel 4 News, February 5, 2001. And I'll read this. It's not very long. The new Home Office microwave system called TETRA is to be the mainstay of British police force communications and will be placed in every major population center in Great Britain. The British government spent £2.5 billion, so about $5 billion, on a 400 megahertz pulse modulated microwave transmitter network, which broadcast at 17.6 hertz into the brains of all Britain's police and anyone living near the planned transmitters, to be used by the CIA in research in optimal mind control. Talking about optimal mind control. The CIA project funded by the Brits and turned loose on their own police, called TETRA. The effects of TETRA are disruption of neural networks leading to behavioral and character changes, also manic behavior followed by nervous exhaustion, Also disruption of higher brain function, leading to the so-called zombification, just to name a few of the end results. The Tetra system will also flood the New York and London Underground, the subways, so commuters will regularly be exposed to behavioral modification during rush hour. This system will be used in all UK police departments and emergency services by the end of the year, and this was 2001. 30,000 transmitters will be placed around the country to maximize the effects on the local UK population. Mass mind control. Anyone who has complained of these transmitters have received a letter from the government informing them that if the transmitters are not positioned where the government wishes, there can be no guarantee of police officer protection, which will lead to higher insurance premiums for homeowners. See the threat, see the games. So that's it. A Tetra, 18 years ago, thereabouts, in England, CIA project, behavioral modification, nervous exhaustion, disruption of higher brain function, leading to zombification, etc. So this is directed energy 18 years ago that we know about. So, David, go right ahead. Let's jump into directed energy weapons here with that as a background. And there were things before that. That's not the first one, just to give you an example.
Well, first of all, I've talked to many people over the years, and Lynn Sergala was the former vice president of the United States Psychotronic Association, which is a resonance weapon. First of all, most citizens right now, if you were to ask them, about the United States Psychotronic Association, they don't even know that there was a Psychotronic Association, and there still is, of course. No. But she was the vice president, and she talked about these mind control electromagnetic resonance weapons, okay? Basically, I mean, the United Nations Institute for Disarmament, okay, they categorize these weapons of mass destruction. Okay, I mean mass destruction. So if you want a weapon of mass destruction, it would be a resonance weapon because of how how it affects the mind. Okay, it can. This is a weapon which enables many forms of manipulation on human beings, especially if you don't know what's going on. Okay. For instance, when they're transmitting at an extremely low frequency, what happens here is that we have electric flowing through our bodies, okay? And this electric current is surrounded by a magnetic flux. And this magnetic flux gives off EMF waves, okay, extremely low frequency. And these EMF waves can be read digitally by advanced digital equipment, which is in the hands of not just the CIA or the NIJ or the DOD, but now it's in the hands of law enforcement. I mean, I'm not just talking the state police. I'm not just talking the sheriff departments. I'm talking lower law enforcement. Okay, there's a lot. I'm talking about local, the local police departments. And basically, these individuals, this technology is in the hands of individuals who are just have been given a free ride, to use this technology pretty much any way they want to use it. There's no, like I said, there's no oversight. And what happens here is that as they're transmitting, this technology is also omnidirectional. In other words, like Dennis Kucinich, the former congressman from Ohio, he proposed the bill H.R. 2977. I think you're familiar with it. But the bottom line is, he said that you can lock into one individual, or you can lock into a whole region of individuals pretty much at the same time.
Sure.
So it's very dangerous technology. It's a very dangerous form of technology. And once they have you, okay, they work you subliminally for a while. You're not really hearing any words. You're not really hearing any sounds in particular. I mean, you're not picking up on them, and you're not picking up on the visual images that they're hitting you with. But they're hitting you with thousands of various innocuous words and sounds, various decibels, and visual images, okay? And by the way, they can also, if they want to really program you, they can program you in your sleep at REM, a rapid eye movement, which would be delta, a deep sleep. And they come in and they can work you over with all kind of manner of evil, and it just basically reprogram your way of thinking. You might be thinking one way, but they want you to think another way. I mean, this is not just with adults either. I mean, it's with our children. It's just absolutely terrible and appalling what's going on. But they hit you subliminally, okay, and you're not really aware of the words, sounds, or visual images that they're hitting you with. What happens is that as they're hitting you, you're not, like I said, you're not aware really of what's going on, but your brain is so intricate, okay, it's actually honing in on every word, every sound, and every visual image, okay, in the form of an electrical response. And these electrical responses are stored in these huge computers, okay, which they've had since the early 60s, supercomputers. They're stored, they're analyzed, and then replicated. Okay, and over time, they can extract so much information from you that it's like you're telling them your whole life history through your mind. Okay,
right.
And I've had the
kind of like what people do on social media, huh? Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly. Okay. But I've had many encounters with individuals. One lady in particular, she was in our church, one of our churches, and we have what we call a communion and we have foot washing, okay? It's biblical.
Right.
And we have testimony afterwards, and she stood up, and it was January, it was the New Year's, and she stood up and she says, my daughter doesn't want me to talk about this. She says, my friends don't want me to talk about it. She says, because they're afraid that my daughter will put me away in a nursing home or somewhere, tuck me away, as a mental case or whatever. But she says, I got to tell somebody. And she was talking about, she says, I go to the store and I go out, I set my alarm, I lock the door, I go to the store, and when I come back, she says, the chair that was in one side of the room is on the other side of the room. She says, the couch that was over here is now over there. The picture that was on one wall is on the opposite wall. And she says at the same time every morning at 3 o'clock or 4 a.m. or whatever, it would almost like be 0 minutes. She said all of a sudden she'll hear the phone ring. She'll go to the phone. There's no incoming call. Then she'll hear knocking on the door, but there's nobody at the door. Okay, so I told one of the individuals, the ushers at the church, to go over there and ask her if I can give her a call and talk to her. Okay, and I explained the same thing that was explained to individuals like Aaron Alexis. Aaron Alexis, he went into a Washington facility as a contractor and shot 11 people, and himself he was killed. There's 12 people. Chivali Wong, okay, he went into the I think it's called the American Association. Civic Association in Binghamton, New York. He went in there and shot up a bunch of people. Then we've had many incidents across the country. You cannot get your mind focused on one incident when there's another shooting incident. And I believe that the majority of things that I've looked at, okay, and I'm sure that you've looked at this too, these things like this just don't happen. It's a rage. As you were talking, as you were describing this technology in Britain, okay,
yeah.
I was thinking about the rage, okay, the people, all of a sudden, they're just, all of a sudden they just go off the hook,
suddenly.
Okay?
Yeah. Do you know, listen to this, David. The California shooting in Thousand Oaks a week and a half ago makes 307 mass shootings since the beginning of 2018.
Mercy.
307 known shootings since the beginning of the year in 311 days. There's some mass shootings of 2 or 3, okay, that's it. But these shootings are happening all the time. Mass meaning more than one. So anyway, go ahead. It's just that common. But your point is, when you're thinking about one and then something else comes along and brooms that off the stage, you no longer think about it. And it's true.
Yeah, and the thing is that they should. You would think that the media would be dwelling in on certain cases. Okay,
it's all about chaos and cadence now. The rate and the speed of these traumas that are inflicted on the masses by way of news reporting is designed to keep them mentally in abeyance and knocked down, and they do it. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say that I was talking to this lady. Okay, she was in the church, and there have been so many people. Okay, there have been so many people that have all these. They have all these problems, health problems. Okay, and I was going through some of these things the other day. There was a list that was compiled by many individuals. I hate the word targeted individuals. I look at it. I look at these individuals like myself as just being victimized and
right.
oppressed. Okay, 24 hours a day. But if you look at some of the symptoms, okay, like sudden forced awakening, like I just mentioned, at a particular hour, the phone ringing, okay, also massive break-ins, okay, because see, they're able to extract these resonance weapons they extract information from you. So in other words, you could wake up one day, okay, and not have any money in your account, okay, your bank account. You have no idea, okay, the information that they're getting. These people are just getting mass amounts of your money, okay. There was one woman who, her husband, she helped her husband, actually create this corporation, and they had made millions of dollars, and all of a sudden, he finds another lady. Okay, and he gets with an individual that he knew within the sheriff department, okay, and actually put her to the point where they thought she was losing her mind, so that she wouldn't get any of the money, okay, or get very little of the money once their divorce was complete, okay, and these are the things that are going on right now in our country. But she contacted an individual by the name of Roger Tolsis. I don't know if you've heard that name before.
No.
And she was able to put together some information, okay, which helped her, helped her with her divorce, okay, so that she would get, an equal amount in this corporation. But these are the crimes that are taking place right now. They're draining bank accounts. They're doing all manner of evil, breaking into people's homes, like Ted Gunderson said in his testimony just before he died. And it's very important to know that he did this sworn testimony in April, and he passed away actually on my wife's birthday in July 31st, 2011.
Right.
And so, but within the same year, he got the sworn testimony, like a last will and testament, to let individuals know exactly, what's been going on in the United States of America. But getting back to some of these symptoms.
Kenny just sent that to me. I got it, so thank you.
Oh, great. Great. Kenny's on the job. Okay. He's been amazing. Okay. He's handed out thousands and thousands of CDs and DVDs, rather.
He's a real hero, no question.
Yes, he is, and him and his wife, okay?
Yeah.
But
and you and your wife. might add.
Yes. Well, she's been going through it. She's a real trooper. I mean, I'm sure that she didn't sign up for this when we got married. Okay, but she's going through it, and I think that's one of the things that solidifies our marriage is the fact that she knows that I'm, what I've been saying all these years is the truth. Okay, we've been married like 25 years now, and. It's an amazing relationship. I mean, how we just kind of chime in on each other all the time, and we've been through quite a bit. And I mean, I'm 71 now, and she's a few years younger than me. But the bottom line is that she's been there for me, and she takes phone calls. Individuals call all the time, and they're constantly asking about this and that. Most of the time, they just want encouragement. Okay, they're just breaking down on the phone.
Yeah, they have no one to talk to, I'm sure, and they reach out.
No one to, and I had a toll-free line for 18 years, okay?
Wow.
And a lot of the individuals that called on the toll-free line, they were suicidal, okay?
Yeah.
But when I stopped the toll-free line, it was because of an individual. Her name was Pam Anderson. She wanted to be a police officer, and but one day I had talked to her for hours and hours and hours of phone conversations, and she finally just committed suicide. She put a gun to her head, and that was it. And it just broke my heart. And I stopped the toll-free line that week, and I haven't had it since. So I say that because there's a lot of individuals out there that they cross a threshold and they can't take it anymore. They may say, "I'll never commit suicide. I'll never commit suicide," but then they commit suicide, and they're hit with all kind of hit with all manner of evil as far as pain, excruciating pain. I truly believe after looking at your accident at least 50 or 60 times, I've looked at what happened. It was it's just horrific. I mean, it's just horrific. And this is just one incident, okay? One incident. I mean, there are thousands of incidents across the United States of America, and the same thing is going on. And I truly believe that the system that they've put into place, this New World Order or whatever label you want to put on it, okay, is nothing but satanic. I mean, it's
of course it is. Of course it is, David, 100%. Let me read one more little thing here, and then we got not a lot of time left, but we'll have you back. But let me read this. We've talked about V2K, voice-to-skull technology, on this program for a long time. It was patented in 1989 on Halloween, October 31st, if that was Halloween. I assume it may have been. Here's a little paragraph on voice-to-skull microwave technology. Sound is induced in the head of a person by radiating that person's head with microwaves in the range of 100 megahertz to 10,000 megahertz that are modulated with a particular wave form. That wave form consists of frequency modulated bursts. Each burst is made up of 10 to 20 uniformly spaced pulses grouped tightly together. The burst width is between 500 nanoseconds and 100 microseconds. The pulse width is in the range of 10 nanoseconds to 1 microsecond. The bursts are frequency modulated by the audio input to create the sensation of hearing in the person whose head is irradiated. Hearing in that person's head. They hear things. The psychoelectronic type of mind control being discussed here is the covert, around-the-clock harassment of innocent citizens living in their homes and communities, and is currently worldwide in scope. The harassment includes electronic mind and body attacks, street harassment skits, destruction of family and other relationships, and destruction of careers. Current-day voice-to-skull cannot be stopped by any known electromagnetic shielding, a fact which demonstrates how advanced classified mind control technology has become. And remember, this technology goes way back to 1989, at least in the patent office.
It's good that you mentioned that as far as the patent, okay? But it's very clear once you start researching that they were using this technology way before '89, okay? Ted Gunderson, in fact, he was giving presentations on when he left the FBI, he took it with him. He was using it in investigative form when he started his consulting firm and investigative. He investigated various crimes and things like this. And so it's been around a long, long time. V2K,
sure.
Voice call or auditory effects or whatever label you want to put on it. And they use it way before, the patent comes out. The patent comes out much later.
Yeah.
Because they want you to look at this as something, brand new or whatever. Okay?
Which still needs the bugs to be worked out of, etc. No, it's deployed. It's done.
Yes. That's the reason for the research. That's the reason why these research projects go on for 30 plus years, because they want to,
they're hiding behind it.
Fine-tune the whole thing, okay? Yeah. And it's just one big cluster of...
Let me do one more real quick. We'll run a little long tonight. The implications of 5G on consumer well-being and safety do not look good for one reason. The devices that will operate within the 5G electromagnetic spectrum will use very small antennas from a few millimeters in length to a centimeter in length. You better look at your ruler and see how long that is. That is a few millimeters. Think of 9 millimeters, all right? This means that the industry will be able to mass produce these antennas, you bet, and place them all over, especially in urban areas. You won't even see them. 3 millimeters, you won't even see it. The advantages in using very small antennas in the millimeter wavelength is that you can feed many antennas in various configuration arrays, for example, vertical or horizontal arrays, waveguide coned or highly directional beam type designs. You can arrange them any way you want. These types of antenna designs focus most of the transmitted power into specified directions and don't get blocked or cut off by structures. In 2016, the reviewed medical and epidemiological studies that illustrate or correlate adverse biological effects with use of mobile phone technology or Wi-Fi, using frequencies even higher than 5G and up to 100 gigahertz, will compress the time frame in which cancers and other biological effects show themselves within society. It is anyone's guess on what might happen in terms of biological safety, yet it is clear to see that the pulsed nature of these high-frequency, high-signal intensity signals do not harbor good news for humanity, particularly in relation to the functioning of our DNA. All right, go ahead, David.
I just piggyback off of what you just said, but more so in the respect of individuals. We love our children. I just came back from Florida from seeing my daughter, okay, my daughter and my oldest boy. And I think about, how much, you love your children, you love your family. I was also thinking about Lynn Sergala. Lynn Sergala said decades ago that, just watch the increase in brain tumors in children, okay, in the age of 15 and under, okay. These children, their skulls aren't fully developed, okay. So when, you hit them with the, various forms of, non-ionizing radiation, these brain tumors, okay, actually, to me, it looks more, it's not just a tumor, but it's almost like a blister on the brain. And as this fluid develops, it pushes against the skull, okay? And they have to go in there and they have to relieve this pressure, okay? And I go into Roswell quite a bit here in Buffalo, New York, and I see numerous cases. And this is what Lynn Sergala was talking about decades ago. She says, you just watch, and see the increase, okay, of these brain tumors in these children, okay, across the nation. It's just, it's absolutely disgusting what's going on. and you know, okay, in your heart, you make this head-to-heart connection, okay, and you know that there's something very very appalling going on. This is a reprehensible act against society, okay, against our children. And I want the parents, whoever are listening out there this evening, okay, to just to think about their child. They have children. Think about their loved ones, okay. And especially if they know about these various technologies that are out there and all the harm that they're doing. I
saw a little kid today, 6, 7 years old, with a smartphone. The parents just are they're so stupid. Their negligence is astonishing. Giving a child a device like that. Anyway, go ahead. And
it's not like they haven't heard. It's like a warning on a pack of cigarettes.
That's
okay.
Right.
I mean, they know that the energy that emanates from the cell phone, and you got it up to their head all day long. Okay, it's as a parent, I just couldn't, and a young child, I can't even fathom. Okay, letting my child.
It's criminal. In England, they have banned Wi-Fi in classrooms. Any children under the age of 18 cannot be in a classroom with Wi-Fi. Outside the classroom, they pop that thing right up on their head. So, yeah, but there was an effort made to stop it, but it's too big. I mean, they can bury these little 2 and 3 millimeter long antennas. They can bury them in the streets. They can put them in street lights. They can put them anywhere they can string a wire to. That's all it takes. It's crazy when you think about it. We really don't have a chance. Talk about hamsters in a cage. That's it. We are that. Unless we somehow divest. I don't have a smartphone. I don't want it. I don't want to go there. I keep myself healthy. I don't eat garbage. I try to serve the greater good, and like you and like all people who care. Doesn't matter if you're just doing one at a time or 1,000 at a time. The idea is to try to help those who want to know. Go ahead. We got another minute or so, David. You wrap this up, and we'll call this visit complete, and we'll have you back.
Well, I appreciate it. I was thinking today, as I was talking to the former pastor, I was thinking about individuals like Gloria Naylor. She wrote a book, 1996. I talked to Gloria Naylor at length for quite some time. When she wrote, and not just about the book that she wrote, but about what she went through. I mean, when somebody tells you that that they're under attack and that their heart is under attack, okay, constantly they're being pounded, with this technology, and then of course she died of like congestive heart failure. I mean, when you hear somebody talking about it and then the final result ends in their death, okay, I look at these individuals, I mean, she basically in her book, she just pretty much sums it up, she started her book with one thing, and she finished it, And
what's the name of the book again?
1996, the numerals 1996. 1996. And she says, I didn't want to tell this story. It's going to take courage, perhaps more courage than I possess, but they left me no alternatives. I am in a battle for my mind. If I stop now, they'll have won, and I will lose myself. It's amazing that these things are going on in our country. The people are actually writing about this. Like I mentioned earlier, Ted Gunderson, he actually put it down on paper prior to his death in the sworn testimony by Senior Special Agent in Charge Ted Gunderson. You have a copy. I urge you to read it, and I know you will, and put it up on your website. It's just the things people have to go through, okay? And it shouldn't be happening in the United States of America, especially in the United States of America. We're talking about, changing countries, making them democratic like we are, okay? And they're constantly talking about all these things, how great it is, but yet we have all these crimes going on in our country right now that shouldn't be happening. And people, Martin Luther King said that it's not the strident clamor of the bad people, it's the appalling silence of the good people. The individuals that can really do something, that can mass together and do something, aren't doing a thing. And it would be my prayer that that these individuals, whomever, will get involved and and slow down this process, because it's absolutely off the charts right now, and it's not getting any better, and it's just getting worse and worse every day.
Yeah,
and,
it is. Very good. Very good. Well said, David. And thanks for this visit. Again, we'll have you back. Take good care of yourself. Be safe.
You take care of yourself too, and
Thank you.
and as well as your significant other. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, you take care of yourself, and God bless.
Thank you, David. All right. Good night. David Brinsko, Brinsko. And he's been on before. He'll be back again. And keep this in mind. I'll post the Ted Gunderson piece tomorrow for you. In fact, it'll probably go up in 3-4 hours, but it'll be there. All right. Be right back with more.